Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, I'll say there were two really big things. I mean, the first one was just understanding that my wife had a life before we met, and with that, and I had a life before we met, so with that comes there are different baggage and different tendencies that were picked up along the way, to where we may get into a disagreement about something, and it may not be because of what I am doing or what I did. It was just because of, hey, a situation happened before. Maybe it was how, she grew up with her siblings. Maybe her siblings used to do something to her or whatever, or bother her in a certain way. So when I do that, it triggered that memory for her, and just not taking it personal, but being patient enough to ask questions. Just, hey, let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk through it. Now, it may not always be the right time to talk about it right then, but I think that has helped solve a lot of concerns for us. I mean, like, even when it came down to talking about like us starting our own business, or even when it came down to working, like one of the things that I used to do a lot of was I used to work a ton of hours, and I did work all very, very late, and I'd come home and my wife would be like, hey, where were you? Or like, hey, I wanted to spend some time with you. And when I sat back and we really had a conversation about it, it really went back to, well, when I was growing up, I never really saw my grandfather because he was always working. And even for a significant part of my life, my father was the same way, always working, because, in their mind, they felt like, hey, they had to provide for the family. So they were constantly doing it. So in my mind, it was a subconscious thing that this is just what I am supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Like, the more I work, the more I'm showing my love for you. And just having to go back and say, hey, you know what? Not say my grandfather, my father were wrong, because maybe that was what they reached to an agreement or understanding with my grandmother and my mother, that's what worked for them. But me having to take a step back and say, hey, if that doesn't work for Lola and I, that's really baggage that we need to talk through, and we need to figure out, hey, what does work for us? And I mean, I think the same for Lola. Like when we started our business, I mean, there were different perceptions and different things that she had that she didn't like about doing the business, and it stemmed back not because of things about the business or things with us. It's just past experiences that she had, and me being patient and listening and just asking the question, because I think why, and not why from with an attitude like, well, why do you feel that way? I would say not that perspective, but one where you're really compassionately trying to understand where your spouse is coming from. Because I think when they feel like, hey, you're trying to understand me versus you're trying to question me, when they feel like you're trying to understand me, you will be surprised at how much they open up and how quickly you can get through certain issues. Because I don't think you're going to avoid issues. I mean, my thing now is I'm not trying to avoid issues. I just want our recovery time to be faster. Sure, yes. Because I'm like, we're going to have the issues, but I just want us to recover faster. And every month, every year, we get faster and faster at rebounding from a disagreement, because they're going to come up. Exactly. And you can't avoid them, but you can get better at recovering from them so they don't cause long-term issues.
That's a very good point.
That's an excellent answer. I mean, that hits home for me and my beautiful wife, because, I get excited because we would have issues and they would stem from, misconceptions or, our core value system. And it would lead to, we're upset with each other for 5 days. Yeah. Right? And then it will become, hey, we're upset for 3 days. Mm-hmm. Then it came, hey, we're upset for a day. Yeah. Right? And then I had to remind Maisha. She's like, oh, we're having the same conversation. We're having the same issue. And I said, oh, baby, we had 3 hours. I mean, and you have to constantly remind yourself of the growth that you have versus the destination, right? Or the hopeful destination, right? Perfection doesn't exist, right? We're just in seek of it. So,
and I would have to say one thing. If I could tell my single self, it would be that my spouse is not me. I know I knew that walking down the aisle. I know we're two different people, but sometimes you think that, when something happens, like, he should know that. That he should know I wouldn't react to that that, or I wouldn't like that, or I'm doing this for him because I think this would be a lovely idea and he should appreciate it. And then his response is not appreciative or not as excited as I want it to be. And it's like, but if that were me, I would have been so excited and I felt like it should have been this. And, you know, you get all these expectations or missed expectations and disappointments. And you have to realize that your spouse is not you. They're not going to react the way that you do. They don't think the way that you do. The intent versus perception. When I say something in my mind, it sounds perfectly fine, and I thought that was great, and he took offense to it, and it's like, well, why? You know, logically in my mind, this is how it's supposed to be, but he's not a mind reader. He doesn't live in my world or in my mind, and just realizing that we're two different people, we interpret and analyze things totally differently, and learning that every day. So if I could tell my single self something, I would say, your spouse, they're their own person, they think their own way, and it's our job to just kind of learn and adapt. And live in that space until we get to a comfortable place of being.
That's good.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to mention or bring to the table is the idea that you're marrying your spouse at that point in time.
Oh, yeah.
But marriage is a marathon.
Yeah.
It is nothing to be, it's not short term, it's not a goal, a quick goal to get to. It's the start of a marathon. What's you all's thoughts on your spouse and how they grow and develop and change over the last 2 years, last 3 years, and going forward? Because who we are at the day we said we got married, the person that we were when we met or proposed or were dating, is not that same person today. Even our interests, even our jobs, even our locations is not that same. It's not the same. So some people may struggle with that change. When we met, we were in DC, and we used to go here and there, and then you go to a different job, or your spouse loses the job, or whatever the case may be, and now you're in a different situation than what you were when the love formed.
For me, it's been a beautiful thing, because one of the biggest things I love is just growth. I admire a person who challenges themselves. I admire a person who, because I hate the norm. I hate the normal. I hate the constantly doing the same thing. So I appreciate when the person challenges themselves, goes against the norm, goes against everything that they normally did, and steps out their comfort zone. So, and I can definitely commend my wife because she's done that tremendously over our entire marriage.
Our perspective on things start to change. The things that we really like start to change. And I think just age in general, as you get older, things change. And you know, one of the things that that's really changed more and more for me is just my attention to gratitude. Is before it was just kind of like when we got married, hey, these are the things I like. These 5 things are perfect about her. I need those to stay the same. I just need to work on these other areas and get her to change. And what I realized is I was doing all of this, like talking about, hey, can you adjust this? Can you adjust this? But what happened is it was upsetting her so much that the things that were perfect started changing. And I was just like, that's not the scenario. And I had to take a step back and say, hey, you know what? Instead of just trying to nitpick at all the things you want to change, just show more appreciation for the things that are right. I think the more I focus on appreciating what I do like, the smoother this marathon becomes. I mean, because you're going to have bumps, but the way that you make it better is, instead of criticizing, just, hey, what can I appreciate? Now, we still have those honest conversations where, hey, if something really is an issue or a problem, we need to talk through it. But spending more time appreciating what I do like, what she does do well, and just letting her know, hey, I'm still in your corner. Hey, things may change, but hey, I'm still 100% into this. I still say I do.
Thank you all for watching We Still Do. If you like it, please like and leave a comment on the blog. Also share it as well, Instagram and Facebook. Also, you should follow me on Instagram. I am at living_my_best_life, LYFE, on Instagram. See you all later.
It's for the